£26 million worth of gold and diamonds were stolen from Heathrow Airport. It was the biggest robbery in British history.
Here you have a vast amount of stolen gold that really didn't do much good to anybody. It wrecked lives all across the board.
This wasn't Ocean's 11, this wasn't, you know, some bright, sparkly guys who were kind of redistributing wealth. These were vicious, dangerous robbers. People were being killed, people were being shot and injured, people's lives were being ruined. This was really serious armed robbery.
Since then, 3 men have been imprisoned for their part in the robbery, but the gold was never found.
I'm of the opinion that it's still in existence. It is out there somewhere.
In 1983, a gang of 5 armed robbers astonished themselves and the world by lifting £26 million worth of gold bullion from a security warehouse on the Heathrow trading estate. It was a truly vast amount of gold. So vast, the robbers could barely carry it all away. So vast that international gold prices were sent soaring when news of the missing bullion broke. The leader of the gang was Michael McAvoy from Lambeth in South London. All those who went with McAvoy understood that it was he, not they, who had the final say on what would happen to the stolen gold. But McAvoy had only 10 days with his gold before the inside man on the job was tracked down by the police and started naming names.
That's Mickey.
McAvoy got 25 years for the Brinks Mat job, and the inside man got 6.
Brian Robinson, Anthony White and Michael McAvoy were handcuffed to detectives and hooded with blankets as they were led to the cells.
But 4 robbers escaped justice, and the gold, 6,800 bars of it, disappeared without trace.
To the BMW.
Another new car, Brad?
No, to the Brinks Mat warehouse.
For those who knew where it was, it became a key to all their dreams, and then a fantastic burden. To complete the Brinks Mat job, the gang needed to turn 3.5 tons of marked and registered gold bars into anonymous, disposable cash. But all the way, they were trailed by police, determined never to let this happen. This is the story of the hunt for the Brinks Mat gold. One morning, just before Christmas 1983, in Evesham in Worcestershire, 2 men loaded an industrial gold smelter into the back of a Rolls-Royce and headed for Kent. What the men didn't know is that they were being watched by an undercover police team. For the Brinks Mat robbery was only 5 weeks old, and Scotland Yard had been tipped off about this highly unusual purchase. The man who'd got the tip-off was a flying squad detective, since retired to the Orkneys, called Bill Miller.
This would have been an ideal opportunity to put a tracking device in the smelter. I mean, it's full of electrical equipment anyway, so a tracking device would never have been noticed by the criminals, even if they'd looked. I did suggest this, but it wasn't done. We left there, followed by us, and we came back to Dartford doing it sometimes about 100 miles an hour. He was all right in his big Rolls Royce, but with our little Ford, we were having trouble keeping up with him. And I was then relieved by a surveillance squad from Scotland Yard who took over the observation. He'd come out of his house about 9 in the morning, jumped into the Rolls Royce and drove off. And by about 9:20, they'd lost him. We could have sat back and waited for them to get the smelter to its home, and then we could have waited till they started up doing the smelting and crash, bang, wallop. We'd found them, we'd found where the gold was.
There was to be no crash, bang, wallop, and Bill Miller would still be on the Brinks Mat case 15 years later. The failure to put a tracking device on the smelter was a godsend to those who took possession of it. They could now begin the long process of making the stolen gold legitimate. First, the identification marks had to be removed, and then impurities added. Only by erasing the original features of the gold could the gang conceal its true identity.
No gold had been found in a year following the robbery. There was some still very senior organised criminals out there that were connected to this case. So the flying squad teams took up a refocused investigation with this in mind.
Scotland Yard's greatest fear was that the unrecovered gold might fuel organised crime for a generation to come. Their principal aim, therefore, was to find the smelters. After several months of nothing, an intriguing piece of intelligence came through from fellow detectives in the Channel Islands. It was to Charterhouse Japhet Bank in Jersey that a Kent businessman had come in the summer of 1984, wanting to buy £100,000 worth of gold bars. The man's name, which would eventually become an infamous one, was Kenneth Noy.
So there'd be no serial numbers on the receipts, yeah?
That's correct. They never are. Only on first issue certificates, when they're with the smelters.
And all 11 bars are 4.9.
That's all we deal in, pure gold.
At Charterhouse Japhet, he discovered that £100,000 got him 11 bars.
You know this will take an hour or two to count?
But we will get the receipts today, yeah?
Of course.
Good.
But the broker at the bank sensed it wasn't so much the gold that preoccupied Noy as the receipts. And what astonished the broker even more was that Noy said he wanted to take the gold out of the bank and onto the streets of Jersey.
It's not advisable.
I'll be fine.
You know, in these circumstances, we would normally hire proper security.
There is no problem. I mean, who want to steal groceries from a man like me, eh? Mr. Japhet, it's been a pleasure.
In 2 shopping bags, Noy took his 11 gold bars out of Charterhouse Japhet Bank, walked 500 yards down the street to the TSB, and hired a safety deposit box. He stashed the bars here, took his receipts, and an hour later left the island for good.
It later transpired that he wasn't necessarily after the gold bars themselves, but he was after the documentation that went with those gold bars, or the purchase of those gold bars. But that was a serious piece of information.
At this stage, Kenneth Noy's name meant little to the police. His underworld connections were completely unknown to them. What the upmarket Jersey bankers had found odd about Noy was not any criminal record, but what they saw as his vulgar manner.
We decided to up the investigation considerably and have a really drains-up look at Kenneth Noy.
What piqued Scotland Yard's interest was that Noy's house in Kent, modestly called Hollywood Cottage, was a mere 10 miles from where the Rolls-Royce had last been seen. A 24-hour surveillance was placed on Noy. For Neil Murphy of the undercover team, the job at first was something of a mystery.
All we did was follow major criminals. That's what my job was, nothing else. Didn't do ordinary police work. But when we did this job, I think everybody was sort of, no, who's Kenneth Noy? Nobody knew who he was.
Cavalier, main gate.
It soon became clear, however, that Noy was at the heart of an intricate gold chain leading from Hollywood Cottage to the Bristol suburb of Bedminster. Over the next few weeks, police watched a series of couriers taking a black briefcase from Noy's house in Kent down the chain to its ultimate destination, a gold merchant's in Bedminster called Scadlin's. Its director was Garth Chappell, a former carpet salesman who had been dealing in second-hand gold for 5 years.
Give us a call first, will you, Annie? Calm down, Garth, I'm sorry. I mean, I know you're coming, but I need to know exactly, you know?
For several weeks, Scadlin's had been receiving a regular delivery from Kenneth Noy. Each delivery consisted of 11 crudely re-smelted and now unmarked bars of gold.
You ever get tired of looking at it, the Harlequin?
God, what are you talking about?
Gold.
Oh, no, no, it's very nice.
Aren't you forgetting something?
Am I?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right, yeah. There you go.
And each was accompanied by an identical set of receipts.
11 brides for 11 brothers.
It was the same set of receipts that Noy had acquired when he bought the original 11 bars of gold in Jersey, and was now covering for anyone caught in possession of 11 unmarked bars of pure gold.
That is 98k. Tell your man these will be back to him by tomorrow afternoon, right?
Cash. Now, that is a beautiful thing.
So I'll go. See you, mate.
The money that the courier collected from Scadlin's was made up of brand new £50 notes. It was these banknotes that would eventually catch up with Garth Chapel and everyone involved in the gold chain.